Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now, today we're getting around to doing this kind of stout comparison between the best of what we would class as the Nitro Stouts available in the UK in cans. And there is some other ones that are available online, but we're just going for the easy ones you can actually go and buy in a supermarket. You don't have to order them online. So out of all the ones we tried with the kind of Irish nitro pour kind of setup, we did Guinness, we did Black Heart from Brewdog, and then of course we did the Ford Stout, which of course is Conor McGregor, that nonce. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of compare it to, this is a more traditional kind of, it's been around for years, which is Black Cab Stout from Fuller's. The reason I picked this is, one, it's been around for years, so it's a good kind of standard and staple, and people that drink stout probably kind of know it quite well. But also because it's from London, and one of the big kind of misnomers is, well, there's a few misnomers about stouts. Stouts can come in two formats. Stouts can come in like this, which is a standard single brewed beer as a stout, or it can come as a blended beer. As a good example is Guinness. Guinness is not a single brewed stout, it's actually originally was a blended. So basically it was a blended beer mixed from different types. So that's what the original one with that is. Whether it's like that now, I very much doubt it, due to the fact of how it tastes. It doesn't taste as if it's blended. Same as Newcastle Brown, it was a blended ale as well. But anyway, so there's first of that kind of misnomers, and another misnomer is that they used to say that, oh, Dublin Guinness is far better than that London stuff. That London stuff's dreadful. The Dublin stuff's far, far better, which is a bit kind of difficult because stouts like kind of hard water. Hard water gives you a far better stout than soft water. And the problem is, if you look at Guinness actually takes its water, it has it piped in from the Wicklow kind of mountains or kind of hills, and that's quite a soft water, whereas the actual local water in the reservoirs around about Dublin is actually harder, and would actually be better using that for making the Guinness than using the water from the Wicklows. Whereas in London, yes, it's a very hard water, and guess what? You actually get a better product because the calcium adds to that kind of creaminess during the process and everything else. So harder water makes you an actual better stout. So there's another misnomer. So that's why I picked that, because it's a London one. So it's actually made with nice hard water. Now, I've got this one. Now, the reason why I picked this one is because it's fairly new. You know, it was launched not that long ago. It was actually launched this year in 2024. And yeah, I got some of this just to kind of compare what it's like with a more kind of an old campaigner and something that's a bit more newer, and also compare it to that. So we'll see if there's a kind of, is this closer to this, or is this closer to this? So again, I give you a kind of a comparison to see exactly where does this lie between the two. And of course, which is actually the best tasting one. So this is what we're kind of doing. So what we're kind of looking at is a more modern day stout against a more kind of old campaigner, kind of more traditional stout versus the kind of Irish nitro. Which one actually tastes more like a stout and which one actually is the better drink? So this is what we're going to do. So what we'll do is we'll crack this one open first, because this one is a lively bastard, so it'll probably kick off at me. I might end up wearing it. And also it needs time to settle. So what we'll do is we'll start with that. We'll move this over here. If you see some of these will be coming up in future reviews. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to do them, but I've got them in anyway. So this is, I've got an Adnams Southwold bitter on the keg, just the mini keg, just to see what it's like. Because the reason why I'm doing it, I've done these beers in the bottle. I've also got Broadside here as well. in the keg. Now, what I've noticed a lot of times when I've reviewed things in the bottle and then I've tried them in the keg, they taste quite different and usually taste better in the keg. So that's why I've got the kegs, because there was a deal on, I think it still is, with Adnams right now. So you can get 2 of these for 40 quid, so they're 20 quid each. For me, that's a no-brainer. Give it a go. So I've got these 2, the Broadside and the Southwold, so they'll be coming up at some point in the future. But anyway, waffling again. Let's get this cracked open. Get a glass, because this usually kicks off quite quickly. Jesus, look at it. I should bugger this one, so it's. People say, you're not pouring it right, you should be doing that. They're always just going to be shoved in the glass, so they're all going to get the exact same bloody treatment. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit there and tickle its arse for it. You know what I mean? Oh, you need to do this, and oh, you need to turn around 3 times and pray to Jesus. I'll fuck off. Just pour it in the glass and enjoy it. If you need to do any more than that, then trust me, it's too much of a faff. Good nonsense. Right. So that's sitting there, trying to get a head on it. Right, let's get the old midnight hen. Oh, la-da-dee-da-da. See, there you go. Yeah. Calm and genteel. Right. It's a hard life, this, by the way, sitting there drinking stout, you know. Where did it all go wrong? Yeah, seriously. I think I'm actually making these review videos on the basis of that. It's like when I get old and decrepit and I'm kind of bedridden and all that type of stuff, and I'm not allowed to drink alcohol, I can just do the videos back and think, those are the days, eh? 3 bottles, eh? Get out, you know, that type of thing. To kind of try and keep my sanity when I'm old and defunct, which of course will probably be about tomorrow. No, not that far away. Oh, do. Well, I'm noticing straight away. The darkest head comes from London, as I say. No, don't try and read anything into that, by the way. I'm talking about the beer, I'm not talking about anything else. So yeah, the Black Cab Stout's got a darker head, as you can see, than the Midnight Hen. Now, another thing about the Midnight Hen, it also should be coming from a slightly kind of, it's, for where it is, it should be fairly kind of hard water as well. Maybe not as hard as London, but still should be fairly hard. So, yeah, if you look at it, Black Cab Stout, very dark. You know, I can't really see any light coming through it. There's a little bit of kind of maroon, kind of bit of light just filtering through the bottom just there. That's it. Less of a head. I would say it's ever so slightly lighter. Ever so slightly lighter, and well, you can see the head in this bugger because there's too much nitro in that. I mean, that widget just goes fucking mental the minute you open that bloody can and look at it, seriously. It's trying to fucking get you by the throat. I'm coming at you. So, some facts. Black Cab Stout, 4.5%. Midnight Hen is 4.2%. And I think the fourth should be 4.2 as well. So yeah, so the fourth is 4.2 as well. So there you go. So Black Cab's got the higher alcohol, and Midnight Hen and Force are exactly the same alcohol content. So again, let's see where that takes us. So where should we start? I think we might as well go along this way. I'm just going by what I think is going to be. I think this will have the most flavour. I think the Black Cab Stout, this is what I think. I could be proved wrong, but this is what I think. This is going to have the most flavour. This is going to have mostly down to texture. It won't have the same type of level of flavour as the two more kind of traditional non-nitro. But again, I could be wrong. So, cheers. Yeah, some light kind of, well, for me it's kind of lighter stout flavours. I didn't bother smelling it because you can't smell any of these burgers because the head's so bloody thick. You don't really smell it, you just smell oh, it's kind of strange. You don't really smell such a beer smell on it, and it's like, so yeah, this was it's more about texture. There is obviously stout flavours there, but they're quite mellow. There isn't really a bitterness there. There's maybe a wee hint of kind of chocolate bitterness, but there's no real bitterness there at all. There's nothing real there at the back end, and the flavours in the mid-tongue, they're quite light. It is supposed to be about texture and easy drinking, and that's what it is. And a lot of people enjoy that. That's what they want. So let's start with this one. Now, this I can get smells. This is a bit strange, this one. I'm getting dark toffee smells off this one. So, and this is another thing, is again, I've said this before and a lot of people didn't realise this, is the malt content in stouts is actually very low because the flavours actually come from roasted grains. They're not malty grains, they're actually roasted grains. So they haven't been through the germination process, so they haven't been malted. So that's the majority of your grains that are used to make your stout. Porters are different. Porters are the opposite way. They're mostly kind of roasted and toasted malts, whereas a stout is roasted and toasted grains, you see, that haven't been germinated. And that's the difference. Is malted basically means is to basically germinate it and then roast it. So basically you're kind of allowing certain of the kind of natural kind of sugars to be kind of brought out and kind of used and everything else. The starches and all that are used to kind of feed and help kind of provide sustenance to the new shoots. So this is what it is. So they just allow it to kind of germinate and start to kind of shoot, and that's when they basically, of course, the seed kernel's actually cracked open, so the grain's actually cracked open naturally before, and then of course that's when they roast it and everything else, or dry it, or do whatever they want. So there's the kind of differences as well. But yeah, I'm getting slightly sweeter tones with this. I'm getting kind of dark toffees. So I'm not getting the kind of molasses smell. I'm getting more of a kind of rich toffee smell. So and obviously a bit of grain in that, but I'm not really getting any kind of thing, anything associated with kind of bitterness or molasses or anything like that. So let's see what this tastes like. This actually tastes like it smells. It's almost spot on. This has more flavour than this, but there's not so much bitterness in this one either. There's a bit of chocolate in this, there's a little bit of bitterness, but not really that much. I would say these are kind of almost similar in the kind of bitterness stakes. Right, Black Cab. Black Cab's different. You're not getting anything kind of sweet. You're getting kind of a slightly bitterness from this. And that's your kind of molasses, kind of like burnt sugar kind of smells. That's what you're kind of getting. So let's see what it tastes like. You get a little bit more bitterness in this one, and a bit more flavour. So this has a bit more flavour than this, and this has a bit more flavour than that. This has a bit of a bit more bitterness and a bit more kind of chocolate tones, but still a wee bit lighter. I think that's probably what stood out for me when I was in Portugal, when I was doing some of the stouts over there. One of the things that stood out for me was just that little bit more concentrated. This, although the flavours are nice, just feels a little bit watered down. And I think they all kind of, to a certain degree. This one doesn't taste so much watered down because of the texture, because of the nitro pour. But these just taste a little bit as if like they've been ever so slightly diluted. No, I'm not saying they are, but you get that type of impression because the intensity is not quite there. But in saying that, though, these are kind of easy drinking stouts anyway. I mean, they're 4.5, 4.2, so they're not the kind of heavier ones. And of course, the stouts I was trying in Portugal, they were 6% plus, so there was a bit more to them from that point of view. But it stood out that they just felt that the flavours are just a little bit more concentrated, a little bit more intense. Not overpowering though, and not overly rich, but they just felt that just a little bit more to them. And it was just like a bit more of a kind of grown up, more mature kind of drink. But yeah. That cab's not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah. The Midnight Hen, a bit lighter in the flavour. Not so much bitterness. More of a kind of toffee edge rather than a molasses edge. And a bit more sweetness as well. So the Midnight Hen's got a bit more sweetness. That's got a bit more bitterness and less sweetness. And then we're back to old creamy boy. Which, to be totally honest, after tasting these, this is just texture now. The flavour's almost kind of buggered off because they've been cancelled out because of the flavours of these are stronger than this. That you've lost the flavour. All you're getting is that a little bit of bitterness, just a teeny little bit of bitterness at the back end. And that's all. You've lost the mid-tongue flavour tones because these have overpowered it. And that's what I wanted to kind of prove, because I thought this was going to be the case, that the flavours are so light on the Irish Nitro Stouts. And then remember, this is the strongest flavoured one. So we compared them all, and this had the most flavour out of the three. So this is more flavoursome than Guinness, more flavoursome than Black Cart Stout. And Black Cart Stout was also had more flavour to it than Guinness. But these have more flavour, full stop. So the more traditional styles, it's all about the flavour. And even though these are two different styles, these are coming out from two different angles. This is more of a kind of a toffee edge and a bit more sweetness. And this is a bit more kind of molasses side of it and a bit more bitterness. I prefer these two to this, but these two are quite different. And I like them both, and they're both kind of own right. This just feels a bit lighter because there's a bit more sweetness to this one, to the Midnight Hen. And it's got kind of light kind of toffee tones. But it's still very nice, it really is. That is, it's like, if you want a really good sessionable stout, then this is very sessionable, really is, very easy drinking. But it has a lot more flavour than this. So, I mean, if you're looking at it like if you're into kind of your nitro stouts and you want to kind of get more towards trying some of the more kind of a traditional style, then maybe the Midnight Hen might be better because it's got a bit more to it flavour-wise, but not overly. And again, the flavours are a bit more on the slightly sweeter side and slightly lighter side, but still more flavour. But same type of alcohol kind of levels, and it's just very sessionable. Excuse me. Oh, bit of choking up when I started, boys and girls. But anyway. This is the old campaigner. As I'm saying, I would say, a bit of the old Bovril about it, you know what I mean? Because it does, it has that slightly kind of yeasty kind of Bovril kind of marmitey kind of thing to it. So these flavours are coming from the yeast, and they're not actually meaty or gravy and that type of stuff, but it just gives you that because you get a bit of yeast flavour coming through. So you get a bit more yeast flavour on the black cab, you get a bit more molasses flavour, a bit more kind of dark chocolate kind of bitterness, especially at the back end. But again, still quite sessionable and still quite light. But yes, it has more flavour than this. But again, it depends. I mean, this one is third. Straight away, it's third. Because the problem is, it just can't stand up to these two for flavour. It just can't. Texture-wise, yeah. But the problem is, if I wanted something creamy, then I'd go for the real thing and have cream. You know, that type of thing, you know. You know, that type of stuff. If I wanted a creamy drink with coffee tones or something like that, then I'd go for a White Russian or something like that, you know. Rather than that, you know, and enjoy it. That's just my view. But if I wanted a stout with kind of more stout kind of flavours and more about the flavour and nothing to do with texture or any other gimmick, then of course, yeah. The problem is, though, finding it difficult to try and separate these, because I'll be totally honest, in kind of warmer weather, kind of like summertime and that, I'd probably rather drink this one than that one. But in the winter time, I'd rather drink this one than that one, because I want something a bit more darker, a bit more, you know, a bit more kind of to go with the kind of mood. And I do, this is one of the things, is I like my darker beers. I like really darker beers in the winter time. I know a lot of people have said in the comments they like drinking stouts and porters during the summertime, and that's great. Again, it just depends. If it's too hot, then no, I can't. If it's not too bad, you know, and I feel comfortable. If I'm sitting there sweating just by breathing, then I don't want a dark beer. You know, that's my kind of criteria. I'm sitting here, I've done nothing, I'm not even moving, and I'm just perspiring and I'm thinking, and I'm kind of sweaty and sticky and just uncomfortable. I don't want anything that's too rich. So I wouldn't touch your porters or your kind of stouts or things like that. I want something lighter. I want something to kind of have a bit more zing, just to kind of pep me up a bit, just to kind of, you know, I want more refreshment. I feel that these would be the kind of opposite. But in the summer, like in the UK, this I could probably drink no problem at all. I could drink this as well, but I'd probably enjoy this better in warmer weather. And I want something a bit more darker, a bit more flavoursome, a bit kind of more rich, or something that's going to kind of, you know, almost give me a wee cuddle, you know. Yeah. Not a kiss though, no good enough, but a wee cuddle's fine enough, you know. But yeah, so yeah, this would probably be my kind of preference. Although I could go for more kind of richer ales, more kind of vintage ales, things like that. Something that's a bit more rich than that. I mean, it's not overly rich, but yeah, it's got some nice stout tones, nice stout flavours. This is more a traditional kind of stout flavour, with the kind of dark chocolate, with the molasses edge, with that kind of bitterness at the back end. This is a more slightly kind of modern take, and it is a little bit lighter, bit more sweetness to it. And it feels that this has been brewed to compete with this. This competes with a lot of them. You know, if you're really into stout and you like stout flavours, then this is better than these two. This seems to be brewed to kind of try and kind of steal business from this, trying to steal customers from this. You know, if you like this, then you should like this. This is more traditional, but again, it has a nice kind of sweeter tone. So this one just seems to be a little bit kind of lighter. The flavours lighter on the lighter edge. I'm not saying they're actually light, but what I'm trying to say is the lighter flavour, so it's slightly on the kind of more sweeter end than the bitter end, and it's slightly more of a kind of toffee rather than the kind of smoky dark chocolate kind of molasses kind of feel to it with the flavours. So there, yeah, this one is like trying to bridge a gap between this and this, and it does it. And I think it's a case as though that if you were drinking this or Guinness or Black Heart Stout and you wanted to try something that wasn't a nitro stout, then I think this would be a far better option for people to try than this one. I think jumping from there to there, I think, yeah, they could probably go straight back. I think this would be a slightly bit more of a culture shock. I'm like, oh no, this is a bit too bitter. And whereas I think this one's a good kind of middle of the road. And yeah, I like this one, but I like that one. But I like them for different reasons. And I'll be totally honest, yes, I would pick this one or this one over that one quite easily. So this is third. This is, I'm going to say this is second, because at the end of the day, I would probably drink this in the summer over this. But I think autumn, winter, spring, then I'd probably drink this over this. But they're both kind of nice in their own right, actually. I'll be totally honest. So yeah, but yeah, I would say I'll give this number one. This isn't really that far behind, but it is a different drink at number two, and this is number three. And if you've tried any of these beers, let us know in the comments what you think. What's your view? Do you agree? Do you think, oh, you're talking piss, for fuck's sake? See, you're an idiot, an Egypt. Which is fine. I can live with that. I can cope with that. I've been called worse. But that was just by my parents and the wife and the kids. Anyway, but yeah. So, what do I do? Thanks for watching. Cheers. And bye for now.